For a second of recording in progress. Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to our weekly Producers Club session. You can see the screen. I have a very, very special guest, long time KW family member, part of the tribe, and pretty busy guy. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just give you a little bit of a background. You can drop the screen share, Kim. If you don't know John Morris, most of you do know John because he's very active in our regions over here in Southern California. John, 20 years plus, right? 20 plus years in real estate. We're going to hear about that.
I crossed. I'm feeling really old, so I crossed over the 20-year mark this past June.
Oh, congrats. Okay, wow. So June 20 years plus
Real estate.
June. So that's a lifetime of career so far. And John been doing a wide range of different roles: broker, area director, coach, trainer, sales manager. Currently, I'm probably gonna miss a few things. I told you I don't have enough time to tell your story or to present you, but MAPS coach, which is huge, thing, master faculty, regional tech director for Keller Williams International, specifically in our regions over here in the West Side region and the coastal region, and still a broker associate with market centers in Northern California. What did I miss, John?
I'm a leverage instructor as well too, so I teach career visioning, and as a matter of fact, we'll be bringing CV down to you guys in October.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah.
So yeah, I think you covered at least the current roles. I'm faculty with KW, MAPS coach, and then regional growth, and then I do some local market center leadership stuff here where I'm at. So right now, that's currently what the roles entail at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the professional side, right? Of course, John is also, has a beautiful family, and he's a surfer, snowboarder, and the most important thing, scuba diver too. So
yep. Water sports are kind of my thing. Whether it's frozen or whether it's liquid, I like being in it. So that's what I like doing outside of the real estate stuff as well.
So, John, tell us before we talk about currently what you do as a professional, your contribution to our community at KW. How did you start with the career to begin with?
You guys are gonna laugh, but my entire goal getting into real estate was to sell one house a year. That was it. I wasn't looking at getting into real estate full time. I started out my professional career as a teacher and high school football coach. And I was this is 20 years ago. So I was in my early 30s, and I was, like a lot of young, families starting out. I don't have a whole lot of money, and we all know what teachers get paid. So I was always just looking for ways to help my family make ends meet. And so I was teaching summer school every year. And basically, which defeats the purpose, really, right, of getting into teaching, because everybody always says, hey, teachers are great because you get your summers off. I never had my summers off, because by the time summer school ended, football started, and I was just working year round. So long story short, what happened is we sold our first house. I saw what the real estate agent made on the transaction, and then they helped us buy our next house and saw what they made. And I thought to myself, man, if I could do that one time a year, I wouldn't have to teach summer school like for 4 years, right? And so I decided to get my real estate license. And I remember distinctly telling my wife my plan. And she laughed at me and she said, what are you thinking of? She's like, you've never sold anything in your life. And my response to her was, are you kidding me? I'm a high school English teacher. I go in and I sell the hell out of Romeo and Juliet every day to ninth grade boys that want nothing to do with it. And so she just laughed and shook her head. And I don't think she really had a whole lot of confidence in me that I was going to be able to do it. But one of the few times in my life where I didn't listen to my wife and things actually worked out, right? So got my license. I remember I had got licensed in June, actually sold my first house within the first couple months. before the end of the summer was over. I had already made my summer school salary, thought that I'm good, but I really, really liked kind of the whole process of doing stuff, which is what attracted me to real estate in the beginning. Because, you know, we all have this mindset around, the sales guy, but real estate's a little bit different. I'm not going to like force you or twist your arm on buying a house or selling a house. And so it was more of a consultative approach, which kind of deals in with what teachers do, right? We assess client needs, we assess student needs, and we create a plan for them to help hit their goals. So it was really kind of the same wheelhouse that I was already doing, and that's why I approached it. And basically that November, I closed 3 sides in 1 month, made half my annual teaching salary. And then it just got to the point where my part-time gig was making more money than my full-time gig. And I had to make a decision for the family that, hey, I love teaching, but I need to go here because that's what's going to provide the greatest opportunity for us. And never really looked back. Ironically, though, now I spend most of my days and time coaching and teaching as well. So that which is one of the reasons why I came to KW, is because I knew that was one of the really only places in real estate that had a path for the things that I was really passionate about.
Yeah, and you know, I love that because I mean, you probably actually owe it to your wife because she challenged you
I don't want to do that.
in a way. But you see, you're the emphasis. You know what I'm hearing. You kind of applied your strengths, right? Your natural whatever that you know how to do in this industry, and that brought you to where we are today. And you keep actually doing that, right? You're still delivering.
Now I'm really doing the same thing. It's just in to a different audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's what you said is really important from an agent mindset. I just posted something about this yesterday on Facebook, is that a lot of times we chase shiny objects. We don't necessarily focus in on the things that are our strengths, because we're looking for that hot lead, or we're looking for that great prospecting tool, or some sort of magic bullet, and my high school football coach, when I became a coach, I had a conversation with him, and basically he said the reason why a lot of newer coaches don't be successful is they'll put together their playbook, they'll try to run the whole thing, or they'll focus in on what their core plays are, and then they won't see success right out of the gate with those. And so rather than working on them and honing them and mastering them, they'll pick another play out of the playbook, and then they'll just keep trying to chase that magic play that's going to bring success, and it never comes because they don't master what they need to get good at. And so the post that I had mentioned yesterday, I actually was just thinking about this because coming back from Mega Camp, we got the MREA playbook, and I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing, but if I'm an agent and I open this up and I try to execute all of it, I'm not going to really get good at any of it, and then that success won't come. It reminded me of that conversation I had with my coach. And so, that was one of the things I had mentioned, is really, and you alluded to this, find your strengths, find the things that you're really good at, pick out your core 3 or 4 plays that you're going to run, and get practice and drill them, and practice and drill them, and practice and drill them, so that when you need those tough yards, I like to use football metaphors because I was a football guy, right? So when you need those tough yards to, 2 or 3 yards to get that first down, you can keep the ball moving, right? When things aren't going right, you can rely on those things. Because again, if you just keep chasing different plays or you try to do too many different things, success is not going to come.
And I love that. And I admire that, by the way, that mindset, in this specific is football for sure. It's an extremely very strategic kind of game. And I think we're in the same kind of arena, just different contact sports.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So put that tech director hat for a second, right? Because it's, again, with you, it's a very, very unique combination of the agent and owner and a coach, maps coach, and the tech trainer, right? So what would you recommend the agent in our community to really focus on? You kind of said it, but in the philosophical way, what is it day to day you think that we should focus on more of?
Well, I think the big thing is don't treat it like technology, right? Because that's one of the things that I really that's one of the things I really don't like seeing, and I try not to train and coach agents on using our technology. I don't want it to be, okay, this is real estate, this is tech. Really, what our technology was created to do, and if you really pay attention to it, it helps us run the models of the MREA. And so, just a mindset standpoint, John's coming. I don't want to learn about technology. I'm out, right? Because that's not, agents didn't get into this business to be technologists. They got into this business to sell real estate. The challenge that I would say for agents is don't treat the technology as a separate entity. It's a tool that's going to really help you start to learn how to run an actual MREA based business.
Yeah.
And so, talking to an agent that's maybe just getting started, or an agent that's just getting started utilizing technology, hey, it's not command contacts. It's a database that's going to help us systematically follow up with our people using a 36 touch that's going to allow us to get business from that. And it's systematized and organized to be able to help make sure that we're consistent, because as human beings, we're not consistent. If we're left to our own devices, very few people are really consistent with stuff. And that technology now allows us to be more consistent. So I guess I'd say, if I'm getting started, just change your mindset. It's not real estate and then I got to learn technology. No, it's real estate, and you're using the tech to run your real estate plays. And it's just kind of a tool that you have available for you. And that's the way I always try to approach teaching classes. I'm not going to come in and I'm not going to teach you command. I'm going to come in and I'm going to teach you how to run an open house, more effectively utilizing the tools that we have available to us. I'm not going to teach you on contacts. I'm going to teach you on how to properly set up a database so that you can maintain consistent contact with the people that are important to you, that are going to be able to give you business, so that we get that 12-to-2 ratio that the MREA tells us that we should be able to get, which very few people actually get that. And that's one of the things when I'm teaching a database kind of class is, man, most people are like, where's my next lead? Where's the hot leads? What do I, where do I get these great leads? And it's like, you have 2,000 people in your database. You have or 24. I'm going to increase the number so it'll make the math easier. You got 2,400 people in your database. You should be able to pull 200 transactions out of that, and you're sitting there at 15 transactions. You don't need more leads. You need to learn how to utilize that tool to help you run the play more effectively.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. And the way that you presented, that's why, again, put the tech trainer hat and the business consultant, the coach. That's exactly what it is. And I appreciate you sharing that mindset, because this is really, simplifying the approach about how can you be more successful, right? Utilizing the right tools that we have.
Yeah, and that's why I always kind of like, I use it kind of like as a medical term. I always tell I always tell other people that are in the space, hey, we're not teaching technology. We're taking a bit of technology, and we're wrapping it up in something sweet, which is the real estate side of stuff. And then that's what we're giving. Like, a parent might give their kid some medicine by wrapping it up in some candy. That's the way we should be approaching teaching technology. Is, hey, I'm not teaching tech. I'm taking that little piece of tech, I'm wrapping it up in something that tastes good. And that's what I'm giving out to people, so that they start to really understand, hey, these aren't two separate things. They need to be melded together as one thing, right? And I think what's important about that to understand, a lot of people, for years, everybody has always said technology is going to replace this, technology is going to replace that. In our business, we run a fiduciary service to people, and a computer can never really be a fiduciary. They're not going to know the emotional side of things. They're not going to know the why behind people want to do what they do. They might be able to spit out numbers and give projections and do all these other things, but they're not going to be able to tap into that side of the stuff. So we're never going to be replaced. But I will tell you, the agents that learn how to utilize the technology are going to, one, deliver a better experience for their clients, and because that's what our clients now expect in this age of tech. And I think the other side of it is that the more as an agent, I learn how to utilize technology so that I get leverage. Now I get more time. If I get more time, I could do more transactions without having to work any harder. So tech's not going to replace the real estate agent. The agent that learns how to utilize and harness the power of technology, you got to watch out for him or her because they're going to take your business away from you.
Yeah. And it's not been said. It's been said in a very positive way or encouraging way to, hey, step it up and learn how to evolve your business and make it more efficient. It's about the efficiency as well, right? Leverage. Um, put your coach hat for a second, right? Yeah. And of course, it's probably go back to your football coaching day as well. Why should one have a coach?
Because human beings in general are really good at holding other people accountable. We're really bad at holding ourselves accountable, right? Kind of, again, using that football metaphor. I worked out a lot when I was younger because I played football. And one of the things that we did as a group, because we had, I found my tribe and we all wanted to be really, really successful at doing what we did. So there was a core group, about 5 of us, that would meet at the gym every morning before school would start. And, back in those days, I don't want to say how long ago that was, because that'll really date me. But back in those days, we didn't really have cell phones or anything like that. But that alarm clock would go off every morning. And nobody even needed to say anything to me or necessarily even coach me. But I knew that if I hit snooze on that alarm clock, I don't make it down to the gym. And then I'm going to feel like I let everybody down and that I disappointed them. And then I also know that I'm letting myself down. And let's face it, I was going to get a little bit of ribbing when I got to school, right? And so even though you didn't want to do it, you got up out of bed and you went down there and you did what you needed to do. And I think that that's one of the main things about a coach that's important is if I'm meeting with you every week, man, you're going to get there and you're going to say, I didn't get this done. I didn't get this done. Oh my gosh, I got to meet with John in like 2 days. I better get this done because he's going to ask me about it. Right.
So true.
I think just the accountability part of it's so key. And I think the other thing with having a really good coach is it's going to help you discover what's important to you, because a lot of times people don't even really know what they want. They just get into the business because they think they can make some easy money, but they don't really ever kind of plot out as, what do I want this money to actually accomplish for me? And so I think a coach will help you uncover your why a little bit more if you don't know it, and then help you create a strategic plan on how to get it, right? Because let's face it, a lot of times if we haven't experienced anything and we don't know how to do it, and then that's what I think a good coach will do is help you uncover, what do you want? Why is that important to you? How committed are you to getting that and making that happen? Where are you at now? Okay, here's where the gap is. We're going to put together a playbook for you to run some plays to close that gap. And then each week I'm going to check in on you to make sure, hey, how did it go? What did you learn? What are we going to do next? What obstacles got in the way that we need to kind of, get out of the way or knock out of the way to be able to get this completed? I mean, really, that's the core of a coaching call is how did it go for what we said we were going to do last week? Okay, whether they got it or not. Okay, great. How do you feel about it? Well, if they didn't do it, they probably don't feel very great. If they did do it, cool. How do we build off of that? If they didn't do it, then what were the challenges that got into the way? And then how do we make sure that those don't happen again? And then what do we learn from this process so we get better, right? And like I said, if I'm doing that on my own, it's a lot harder to have those honest conversations with myself. A lot of times we play victim if something got in the way. Oh, it wasn't our fault, or it wasn't this, or it was because of this. And I think a good coach is going to help you realize or understand, hey, no, it doesn't matter what the external forces throw on you. There's a way around each one of those things. Let's figure it out.
And I love the fact that he didn't say, oh, the coach will teach you this and teach you that. And it's not about the teaching part, right? That's more like a mentor, professional to a certain extent, that the training and coaching, it's really to hold you accountable. That's just really the key. And I echo everything you said, because it's so important to also set the expectations straight and admit I could be extremely self-disciplined, but I will never be as disciplined as if someone else will keep pulling me up and stretching me, etc. Right?
Yeah. It's just a matter of, hey, I know that I got the person's not my boss, but I got somebody that's going to hold me accountable to the goals that I want, and is going to basically help me not get in my own way. I think that because a lot of times the reason that we don't have success is not because of anything or anyone else, but we just get in our own way. And a coach, I think, will help you basically say, hey, no, you got to move over to the side, and let's move that roadblock or that limitation or that limiting belief you might have, and let's go here. And I agree with you. The thing is, a lot of times people will get into coaching and think, hey, I want you to show me how to do stuff. And it's like, well, that's one thing I always told my students, which I think is really, really key. That's one of the things I told my students when I was a high school teacher. Is a student, and I remember one time asked me, hey, Mr. Morse, what's the answer to this? And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. And he goes, well, what do you mean? That's your job. And I said, no, that's not my job, is to tell you the answer. My job is to show you how to find the answer so that you can do it for yourself. Because I'm not going to be always here for you to go and give you all the answers to stuff. And I think that's the same thing with the coaching clients is, hey, I'm not here to tell you how to do stuff, because you have your own strengths. You have one client that I coach is not going to be the same to the next client. This person over here might be a door knocking machine, and you're terrified of knocking on somebody's doors. Their style is not going to probably work for you, because you're going to find every excuse in the book not to go knock on those doors. And so let's find out what your strengths, what your superpowers are, and let's really hone in on those things. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. We're going to figure it out together, and you're going to answer your own questions. I'm going to pull the answers out of you, not kind of throw them up on you.
Right. But by the way, do you still coach single agents?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Here's another question for you, because again, you have this like unique bird's eye, right, for the areas that you work in. Multiple hats in our industry. What do you see currently, or maybe the last year to date, if you may, or maybe like from last year, that the more successful agents or teams and what have you, doesn't matter really, but by results, what kind of activities do they do? What are they focus on consistently that set them apart from the other professionals that will come and say, oh, it's horrible market, there's no deals to be made, it's really tough?
Yeah, I would say the one thing that separates a really great agent from one that isn't is they know their conversion rates. Because if I talk to an agent, and if I talk to the majority of agents that are out there, how's the real estate market? Oh man, it's kind of up and down. It's up and down. It's not consistent from year to year. I know that they don't know their numbers, because at the end of the day, really real estate is just math. It's like I always tell people real estate's super easy, and everybody always looks at me weird or whatever like that, especially in a tough market, saying, what are you talking about? Real estate's not easy. Sales is not easy. Yeah, it is. We all know the activities that we need to do. I mean, there's not a real estate agent, I don't care how long you really have been in the business. I know if I go door knocking, if I go buy online leads, and I know that if I make phone calls, I'm going to get business. It's not hard. The consistency at doing the activities is what's really hard. And then knowing the conversion rates is where the keys, I think, lie in with our top producers. Because I know that if I need to, looking at the shift book, for example, Gene Rivers there's a quote at the beginning of Shift where Gene Rivers, who, if you don't know Gene, he is KWU master faculty, probably the highest regarded master faculty in the company, market center owner, mega agent team owner, just amazing guy. He was quoted in the Shift book as, forgive me if I don't get the exact numbers right, because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was something to the fact that their team knew their numbers down to how many contacts they needed to make to close a deal, right? And there's incredible freedom and confidence in being able to know that. So, for example, and again, I'm not 100% sure on the number, so don't throw me over the coals if I'm off by a digit or two. But it was something to the effect of going into the last shift, Gene's team knew that for every 24 conversations they had with people about real estate, they would close a deal. Then they get into the shift and those numbers weren't working. So they tracked the numbers for a quarter and they found that it now took them 32 conversations in order to close one transaction. So now, rather than sitting there saying, oh, the market sucks, I'm not getting the business that I was, they just said, hey, we got to reconfigure what's our conversion rate now. And now that I know this, the bar has moved and it's this new number, okay, cool. I just have to have 8 more conversations to close a transaction. And so now if I want to close 10 transactions, I need to have 80 more conversations than I might have previously had. If I want to close 10 transactions, it's not 24 anymore. Now it's 32. So instead of 240 conversations, now I need to have 320 conversations with people in order to get the business that I want, right? So I think that that's really the big key, is knowing those conversion rates, because again, it's really all math. And then if you know what you need to do, then you can go out and execute it. Or if you're just if you don't know those rates, then you're just kind of wondering what's happening and where's my next deal going to come from, and what do I do next?
Yeah, that's just such a good pointers. And I did put in the chat the economic model of KW, the MREA. So you guys will later on just click on that, save that link, so you can see the visual of what John was describing, which is a key. I mean, and I mean, you nailed it. I mean, it's conversions, and I'm pretty confident to say that most professionals don't focus on that specifically.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's leads. It's not leads. We have leads coming from everywhere, man. You can go into your database and get leads. You can go buy leads. You can go hold open houses and get leads. You want leads, there's no shortage of that stuff. I can go knock on doors all day long and get leads, right? The big key is maintaining, and that's where command really kind of comes in too, because agents suck at long-term follow-up. Right? You walk into my open house and you say, hey, I have to buy a house within the next 60 days. As an agent, I'm on you like, flies on what or blank. And I'm not letting you out of my sight because I know you're a hot lead that is ready to close right now. But let's face it, not everybody's ready to go right now. The average person that starts looking to buy a home usually begins their search 6 to 18 months before they're actually ready to pull the trigger. So we meet them in week 1. It's not that they're a bad lead. They just aren't. We caught them early in the process. They're not ready to transact yet. And then we don't follow up with that person because we think it's a bad lead because they're not responding well to my calls and my texts and my marketing. And then we don't have a good long-term follow-up plan in place, which again, that's where command kind of comes in. We can leverage that. And then business gets slow. I call my old leads and I find out they bought from somebody else last week. And that's my fault. It's not theirs. I didn't follow up with them the way that I should have. So agents really good at lead generation. A lot of agents really, at least the ones that aren't as successful as they'd like to be, probably is that conversion number. And when I'm coaching top teams, even people that are closing hundreds of transactions every year, one of the common things that I find with them too is their lead conversion is not even really that great. They're just closing so many transactions because they lead generate and have so many leads that they get those big numbers, but they're leaving lots of money on the table. And now the cost of sale is a lot more expensive for them because they're having to buy so many leads to close a transaction, where they can get more transactions and close and save more money if they just did a better job at the long-term conversion. Yeah,
spot on. Yeah, and it comes down to the activities that they you actually do on a daily basis, right?
Absolutely. It's just getting into relationship with a lot of people, because if I get into relationship with a lot of people and I follow up with them and I maintain contact with them, I know that I'm going to get predictable business from that because I'm doing what is necessary to keep those relationships going.
Yeah. John, give us the promo kind of heads up about what's coming down to our area training wise.
Training wise, if you weren't on last Tuesday's call, I did a call on Tuesday to talk about the new ad experience in Command. If you missed it, we have video for it. We can get a copy of the video out to you guys. So we talked about the new dynamic ads inside of Command utilizing Facebook, and we talked about setting up Google ads. We're going to talk a lot on the next session on the 12th. And again, that'll be the 12th at noon, and everything we're going to do twice a month via Zoom. So, and it'll be like I think the second Tuesday and the last Tuesday of every month at noon. This next one's going to be on really what we talked about just now. How do you convert these leads that you get? Because we talked about lead generation in that last session. This session, okay, now we got the leads. What are we doing with them so that we maintain that follow-up? So that's what's coming up there. And then, like I said, in October, heading down to the downtown LA Market Center, and we'll be teaching career visioning, success through others in 30, 60, 90 with you guys. Talked to Stacy at the beginning of the year, and she's like, yes, Leverage Series hasn't even been taught since I've been here, and Stacy's been RD in the region for quite a while now. And I was like, what are you talking about? It hasn't been taught. We need to fix that, because it's as somebody that's looking to grow and potentially build a team, that class is super vital to learning how to do it the right way. So if you are contemplating growing out a team or adding an admin, or just kind of how do I structure this out, that's a great class.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and for sure to the September 12th session. This week's session was brilliant, so thank you for doing that as well for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Packed house in every office for that. John, we can keep talking, and it's just only like a taste of who John Morris is, and your kind of wisdom and mindset. So I want to thank you for taking the time. I know that you have a busy day ahead, as again, all that umbrella of coach and agent and a trainer. So thank you for everything.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And this was a blast. And I'll come back anytime. I love hanging out with you, man.
Yeah, likewise. All right, John. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you.